Welcome back to Property Management Madness. Property management is crazy. So let's talk about it. Pull up a chair, pull up a drink. We'll wait while you get ready. All right, Jay. Jay's back.
Yeah, y'all should be ready by now. Better have your drink and be ready for this.
All right. So I promised our audience one of our most anticipated, between us, anyways, most anticipated and exciting shows.
Maintenance, horror
Maintenance,
stories.
nightmares.
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes.
what do you mean those never happen?
Yeah, I know. So, one of the most important things I think for me as a property manager is that when I first started out as a residential property manager, when I got out of commercial storage, was that I was given a portfolio that was in Pontiac and in the Loop, like not in the nice part. It's just we're not talking about Indian Village. In the Loop of Pontiac, low income housing, distressed
Let me just add
properties.
to that when I started at that job with her, she gladly handed that portfolio over to me, which I've been managing since I've been there now for 5 years.
Yes. So distressed properties. Um, and that's not the only place that maintenance nightmares can start from. But they're a good place to finish.
Mhm.
So, all right, Jay, I'll since you weren't on the last episode, I will give you the floor. Tell us about some nice properties, well maintained nightmares. What happened?
Oh,
Tell
nice
us.
properties that were well maintained that have nightmares?
Nightmares.
Okay.
Because it can happen anywhere.
Yes, it can. It's not just the distressed 90-year-old properties. It can
Yeah.
be the brand new property or the well-maintained property. So, I mean, it goes back to when we talked about preventative maintenance,
Yeah.
people. These are properties where, well, you know what? It's not necessarily true because any nightmare can come out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
But
Let's talk about that tree in Madison Heights.
the tree of medicine, I have the tree story in Ferndale.
Oh, I have the tree story in
You have a
Madison
tree story in
Heights.
Madison Heights. I have a tree
Okay.
story in Ferndale where it
Okay.
just destroyed the house because no one ever bothered doing anything about it.
All right. We'll
Um,
start somewhere
so
and
let's
then
talk about my tree.
yeah, let's talk about your tree.
So I have a beautiful house in Ferndale. Um, it's in
Single
downtown
family.
Ferndale, single family home, 3 bedroom, beautifully redone, fireplace, little outbuilding where you could hang out.
And we're
And
renting at the top of the market.
yes, top of
Okay.
market. And tenants call me middle of the night, heard a loud boom. They're downstairs, thank God. Loud boom during a windstorm. The giant dead tree on the property fell on the home, just snapped right in half. This tree has been there for a while,
Well,
should
yeah, it's a
have
tree.
been maintained,
Okay.
and it
How
was
long has it been dead?
it has been done for a long time. Should have been cut down a while ago.
Okay.
But it's, tree maintenance, if you've never looked into it, it's very expensive. It
Yes,
is not cheap.
but it's worth it.
So I understand when somebody is like, I don't quite have the funds for this right now. Um, but when you think about the fact that your house is right underneath that tree, y- you might want to do something to take care of it.
Right.
In this case, that didn't happen. So got the call from the tenant. Tree fell on the house. Here I am thinking, I've had many trees fall on houses.
Yep.
Range of damages,
Yep.
it can range from small to large.
Yep.
In this case, it was large.
Yeah, I was gonna say every day at our property. I mean, we have a lot of aged trees. We pick up limbs.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean sometimes the limbs are small little twigs up to like maybe 6 inches. I mean they're constantly falling,
yeah,
but it's not a tree,
yes.
so it
So
happens all the time.
yeah, and in this case, it was a tree. It was a very large old tree. So I went there to go do the walkthrough. I get in, I walk through the front door. Things look kind of normal. A little bit of mess downstairs. I see a little insulation tracked around, and that made me a little worried.
But can you see anything from outside?
From outside, I saw a giant tree on the
Oh,
house.
okay.
I could
Okay.
not even
So you
go.
can see
I
it.
couldn't go through. Well, I could go through the gate. I just had to duck underneath this tree limb that was hanging down in the driveway off
Okay.
the side of the house.
So it wasn't like you
But
pulled up
I mean,
to
I've seen this before.
right,
I've seen it before where it hasn't caused much damage.
right. Made
Pretty
it into
easy
the attic.
patches,
Yeah.
to just fix. Unfortunately, when I walked upstairs in this home, the roof was gone. The entire upstairs
Was the tree.
was the tree. The entire ceiling had collapsed, came through onto the bed. The bed was actually thrown across the
Was
room.
that the main bedroom?
It was the main bedroom,
Oh
and
my
it had the
god.
master bathroom, which had been beautifully redone. Um,
We're not gonna
and
talk about how beautiful that house was. I'm talking about I'm glad that the tenant wasn't up there.
That's what I said when we started
Yeah,
this,
well,
is
I
that I
know
was
you
very
said that. I just had
glad
to
the tenant was
reiterate.
downstairs and not upstairs when this happened, because it
Holy
could have been a lot worse.
moly. Right.
There's one thing when it comes to, causing a lot of damage to the property. There's
Yeah.
another thing when it comes to somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
thanking God that they were actually downstairs when this happened, so nobody was hurt in this incident. But that's why it's important to, if you have dead or dying trees on your property,
Yeah,
maintain them. Maintain
absolutely.
them, take them down, do what needs to be done, because in this case, it now costs the owner a lot of money, because not only was the, upstairs bedroom destroyed, the back sunroom, the ceiling had collapsed in one area. Part of the tree hit the outbuilding in the back. So there was a lot of damages. Luckily nobody was hurt. The
Yeah.
owner had insurance, which covered a lot of the cost.
Yeah.
But now, this is months and months and months of lost income
Yeah.
because of this.
So let's talk about I know you just mentioned that. I like that you mentioned that with the insurance. So having insurance is not necessarily gonna be the end all be
Oh
all.
yeah.
Like this is great. Well the house is insured, it's not a big deal. Touch base a little bit on okay, you have insurance, great,
Yeah.
but what's the but?
You can have insurance, which is great. Everybody, you should absolutely always 100% have insurance on your dwelling. As an owner of a property, you need to insure your structure. It's
Absolutely.
very important.
Yes.
But everything is not covered under that insurance policy.
Okay, like I said,
There's
what's the but? Give me a
the
list of the
but
buts.
is, read your insurance policy.
Okay?
It's going to say, might cover, and this again, this is if it's under your policy. Your policy might not have coverage for a tree falling on your
Yeah.
house. So that not be a thing, and you might not get anything out of
Because
it.
some insurance they consider that acts of God.
Yes.
Unless you have coverage for acts of God, that is
Then
not
you're out of luck.
yes.
So, but some insurance may say cover up to this much in damages,
Okay.
which may not necessarily cover the damages that you got when that tree fell on your home. So, and knowing your insurance is very important,
Right.
and understanding your policy is very important. But my main takeaway from the whole situation
Yeah.
is, again, going back to when we talked about preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
It should have been done prior to that. Thank God there was no loss of life, there was no injuries,
Yeah.
because, it could have been a lot worse than what it was.
Oh
In
yeah, and
this
we're
case,
talking
it was
about a
just
tree.
structure. It
Yeah,
was just the building.
absolutely. There's nothing worse. I mean, for a property manager and owner, I mean, we're all human beings. When you find that, I don't want to say negligence because that's a that's a very big bad word,
That's
but where
that's a
you're,
strong,
it
strong
is a
word.
very strong word. But like when you're, I'm gonna use that as an example. But when your negligence causes the loss of a life,
Yeah.
and that I mean that can be your tenant, that can be a tenant's guest, that could be a dog,
Hmm.
a cat, doesn't
It
matter.
can be anything,
It could be
anyone,
any you can't get that back.
any pet, anything.
Yeah.
And that's why these things are so important to. I know
Yes.
things cost money. I know things can be very expensive and
Yeah.
it might be a hardship on you.
Yeah.
But think about how much worse it could be when
Yes.
things like this happen.
Yep. I mean, that's the reason why we have car insurance. It's the same thing. We have car insurance. We're not expecting you to get into an accident.
Yeah,
You know,
but
some people
things
have car
happen.
insurance and they've been driving for 40 years, never have had an accident, and they just pay every single month for nothing.
Yes.
So, I mean, and some people, they have car insurance and they live in an area. Let's say I've been to Chicago one time. That's all it took. Okay, so they
Chicago
live in.
was fun. I went with you.
I know they went to you go to Chicago. They live in Chicago and say that they need to make a claim on their insurance once a year,
Yeah.
twice a year, once every 6 months. These people drive crazy.
Well,
It's
thank God we
crazy.
didn't drive.
Ooh, we did not. No. But I mean, so it's really it's better to have it than not have it.
Exactly.
And you yeah,
And
definitely need
you
to make
always need
sure.
it. Like you think you can get away with, saving a buck,
Yeah.
but in the long run, make
How
sure you're
much is that
covered.
buck actually
Yeah,
worth?
because it's not covering you in the long run.
Yeah.
You got to think about the future.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and like I said, this was a beautifully maintained property.
Yeah.
The interior of this house was nice. It was completely redone.
Yeah.
It was beautifully maintained. It wasn't neglected. It was just that one thing. That one thing that was a very expensive line item to pay for all at one time. And at the time, the owner was like, you know what, it can wait.
Right.
But then one good windstorm, you know, took out the house and could have taken out a lot more. So thank God it didn't.
Yeah.
But, these things, they come out of nowhere. Acts of God happen all the time.
Yeah.
So doing what you can to prevent it is important.
Well, and we're talking about a dead tree that's been dead. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking about over 5 years.
I mean, as long as I've managed the property,
Yeah.
it was a dead tree.
Right. So I mean, this is something that could have been slowly taken apart,
Yeah.
limb by limb, you know, let's do not all of it because say that taking down this tree costs $10,000.
Mhm.
And we know who I don't have
I don't have 10
$10,000.
grand.
I don't got 10 grand.
Yeah.
I don't. And we know that I mean that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
For the most part, I would say. Because contrary to popular belief, people who own investment properties are
Are
not
not
rich.
rich.
They are not
A lot of people like to think
rich.
that, but just because you own an additional property
Yeah,
to the one that you live in does not mean you're flush with cash.
absolutely
I mean,
not.
it may mean you're more in debt than the person who does not own an income property.
100%. Yeah, so I mean, we're talking limb by limb, $1,000 a year, $1,500 a year,
Yeah.
and we could have cut
And
that
you
tree
can find
down
people that
enough
will
that
do
it
that.
wasn't a hazard.
Yeah. Like one
So,
of the main things that when there's a windstorm and you have a dead tree,
yeah,
is all of those limbs and everything that's catching that wind and causing more stress on the trunk of that tree. So if you started off with cutting off the limbs
yep,
and minimizing your
the
chance of
weight.
it,
Mhm.
collapsing under the sheer weight of the tree and pressure from the windstorm, you could save yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe start small and move your way up, but get it done in some way.
So this hits me um essentially right right in my
Right
heart.
in your heart. I see you holding your chest. Right in
Right in
your
my
heart.
heart cuz I have a dying tree in my backyard. Okay,
Cut that
so
tree
this
down, Shauna.
I've been slowly trying to figure out what
You
I'm going
just
to do
had
with it.
maintenance man Joe
I
on the
know.
show. Make him come over with that
I
chainsaw.
know. So I have a tree in my backyard that has passed its prime.
Yeah.
It's seen its heyday. That was a very long time ago. This tree, and a lot of it is still alive. It is still growing. It is still alive, but
Just so
it
y'all
does
know,
have.
Shauna is the plant mom.
I
If
am.
it's half alive, it's completely alive. She's gonna try and save it.
I am. I am. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with this tree.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know. It was struck by lightning at one point before I lived there. So I've lived at my house for over 5 years, and it's been struck by lightning. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do about this tree? And for the most part, nothing happens with this tree.
That's
It's
what every
just,
owner thinks. For the
yes,
most part, nothing
nothing,
happens with
nothing
this
ever
tree.
happens.
It's gonna be
I
fine.
don't have limbs that fall down. I don't got branches, nothing. Well, this winter, it really opened my eyes because we got a huge ice storm. My entire backyard was littered with limbs.
Mhm.
I had limbs falling on my roof. I had a limb hit my brand new air conditioner. My air conditioner is not even 5 years old, brand new. Smash it. I had just, and I'm talking branches. Like
Yeah.
these are 8 inch, sometimes bigger
Yeah.
logs falling off this tree. And I think you don't realize w- that you need to do something till you realize you need to do something.
Yeah. And
And it goes
unfortunately,
into,
that's the way it goes
yeah,
sometimes is,
yeah,
like, you don't think about it. You think everything is okay because nothing's happening
yeah,
until something
yeah.
happens.
And you're like, okay,
And
well, this tree's still half alive until you get an ice storm and half the tree falls
yep.
down.
Yeah, think about
Yeah,
your weather demographic. Like, where are you? Are you going to get ice storms or winter
yeah.
storms or snow or heavy falls that are going to cause weight or wind
Yeah.
or anything that's going to cause more damage
And our
or
winters
more
here
structural
in
damage to that
Michigan,
tree?
yeah, I think that our winters here in Michigan have been exceptionally trying over the last 3 years.
Mhm.
We've had a lot of polar vortex, a lot
There's
of
been a lot of
wind, a
ice.
lot of ice, a lot of snow. We've had just a lot, just a very, very trying winter. And it really did some damage. So now I'm on the other end of that as a property manager. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure something out with
Yep,
this
and
tree.
as an owner of your own home that
Yep.
has the same situation going on.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
all right,
Yep.
so we talked about this property that was a property that was actually well maintained.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the distressed properties we've worked with because we
Yeah.
have both been there on those
Absolutely.
properties that we already know we have a lot of
I'm going to tell you my
maintenance.
favorite story.
Uh, I already know what it is,
I know.
but
It's
please,
it's a great story.
I want you to tell this story because you tell it the best.
Okay, so the Loop in Pontiac, distressed properties, low income. Um, I love that portfolio. I really
I love
did.
it too. I still manage it to this day,
I
even
love
though
it,
I've had
and
plenty of opportunity to get
to
rid of
give
it.
rid, yeah, but you can't.
No, I can't
I
because
cannot.
I feel like I'm the only
Yeah.
one that can manage this. I'm not giving it away. I
So I
can't.
didn't feel like that. I felt like
I know you gave it to me the first chance you had.
no, it wasn't the first chance,
That
but
was
I
your
did give
first.
it to you because owning a distressed, not owning, well, also that I didn't own it. I felt like I did. It was my baby.
Exactly.
Managing distressed property is like living in a fiery pit of hell.
It really is.
You're like,
It's not only
okay,
managed chaos, it's
like this
managed
is
chaos while the building is on
on fire.
fire
Everything's on
and you're
fire. You're
trying to
like
save
that
everybody,
dog.
but you can't.
You're like that dog in the meme. And like
Yes,
everything is on
everything's
fire,
fine.
and then he's
Everything's
just sitting
fine.
at the kitchen table. He's like, everything's fine. So yeah, it is like being in a just like a burning pit in hell, where you're like, okay, well, this would be nice if it wasn't so hot. Like overall, this is okay. But one of the biggest things that I learned about managing distressed properties is that you will learn everything.
Oh,
You
100%.
will learn everything.
You will never not know how to handle any
Yes.
situation because you've had to handle them all.
Yes. So if that, I mean, that can be maintenance, that can be tenants, that can be the government.
Which I'm dealing with now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, that can be a handful of things. So the same portfolio had a DEA raid. I mean, so when I managed this property, so it's
God,
just
and we've dealt with that in both our last positions,
yeah,
working in storage management
yes,
as well as property
yes,
management.
yes, exactly.
God, we are
So
so well
I
rounded,
know,
Shauna.
I know. So, but it's just managing distressed properties that are in high risk area.
Yeah.
So the type of tenant, the type of owner, the type of environment that you get when you manage properties in high risk area,
Mhm.
that brings along its own
Challenges?
challenges.
Yeah.
Yes, entertainment, I would say,
Yes, sometimes.
and then it also brings around the knowledge
Yes.
because
100% because you're gonna
you have
come
to think on
across
yes, you have to
everything.
think on your toes
Yep,
because this property is over 100 years old. How do you fix this?
yep.
So I'm gonna continue with my story. I didn't even start it,
We
but no,
haven't started it
I'm
yet.
gonna
We
continue with
gave
my story.
backstory so far,
I know I did.
backstory.
So the loop. I was picture it. The loop Pontiac 2017.
Tell it to us, Sophia,
I,
tell us,
I
tell
am. I
us.
am. So we have a resident who lives in a multifamily property. It is 3 levels high. She's in the middle. And she calls and says, "Eh, there's something wrong with the wall in my bathroom."
Oh god, the wall?
The wall, not the wall in your bathroom.
No, that's
So you think,
horrible.
okay, what's going on with the wall?
I'd love to
Somebody's
help you.
shower's leaking, right? So, like, okay, what could possibly be happening? Send my guy out there. He's like, I don't know what's going on. You should probably send a plumber. This seems like some
Seems like
damage.
there's a leak back there.
Yeah, this seems like some damage caused by um, a major plumbing issue
Mhm.
or just a plumbing issue. So I said, okay. So I sent my plumber out there and he takes a look at it and it's like, okay, we're in the bathroom. The stack goes behind this wall.
Mhm.
And
I know where she's going, people.
he goes to pull the light fixture to see if it's leaking behind it because you can pull it and wiggle it and you'll see if it starts to drip. And the entire wall fell on him.
What?
Yes, the entire wall fell down and collapsed. Everything off the wall. So this is from the
Shocked.
I know
I am shocked.
the front of the shower and then behind the toilet and then where the light fixture is and then we have the vanity and the medicine cabinet that's suspended on the wall.
Mhm.
Oh, the wall completely, that entire wall collapses and crushes him.
Ooh,
So
that's bad. That is not good.
and I'm thinking, how does this happen? I'll tell you how it happens.
Please.
Old plumbing. There was
What?
a crack.
At an old building
I
that's
know.
100 years old?
Yeah. So there was a crack in the cast iron stack, and every single time the tenant upstairs flushed the toilet, it spewed some of the water went down the stack, but it spewed water as it was going down
Mhm.
and ended up splashing sewer water on the backside of the
Ooh,
plaster,
that's
and it was old, so we're
nasty.
talking about old, right? This is not drywall, this is a plaster wall.
Yeah.
And eventually it started to bubble and it started to turn colors and it started
All
to
those beautiful
smell.
shades of brown, black, green,
Yes,
gray, all
beautiful.
those beautiful shades, all the shades that you want in your bathroom.
Yes, yes. And it wasn't until then that the resident decided to call us and was like, hey, there's something wrong
Mhm.
here. And we did 6-month inspections at that point. We did every 6 months. So this is an issue from that we didn't see when we inspected her unit.
Yeah.
This is an issue we didn't see when we put the unit on the market. And it had progressively gotten worse as she was living there.
Yeah.
And she never said anything about it.
What?
Never
That
thought
happens?
never thought,
People don't
what?
tell you what's going
What?
on?
What? I know.
That's not a thing.
I know.
Come on.
So yeah, the entire wall collapsed on my plumber. And we had to figure out what we're gonna do with the stack because it's cast iron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
And I bet I know what they did
What did they
because
do?
we
Tell
have
me.
had many properties in the same situation. They had to cut out that old cast iron that we don't need anymore or don't use these days
Yep.
and put a sleeve on it
Yep.
and add some PVC going all the way down
Mhm.
to wherever that crack ends because, nobody wants to pay to replace the entire thing. They're
No.
replacing sections at a time,
Yep.
which let me just tell you right now, you have a
Don't,
building that old, replace the whole thing.
because it's gonna
Do
happen
it
again.
because it's going to happen in every single unit,
Yep.
going all the way down the entire building, especially when you're thinking about a multifamily building and you're working with an old building, cast iron, replace what needs to be done.
Yep, absolutely.
But I am sure that they cut out that section, put on a sleeve, and put in some PVC to get that fixed.
Yep.
And then redid all the drywall and rehung your wall and your sink and your light fixture. And I'm sure it was really cheap, wasn't it?
It was so cheap.
Yeah.
I, personally have never experienced a bill from a vendor that was so inexpensive.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, I am 100% sure that is true.
So it was awful. It was awful. Okay, so we had to, at that point, I mean, you're the middle child, right?
Yeah.
Because you're in the middle unit, and that doesn't mean that the crack stops there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that it's not affecting the downstairs unit. They just never called you.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So we had to go to the downstairs unit. Also distressed. Not as bad though, because at that point it was just kind of trickling down the wall on the
Mhm.
inside. The crack did not go all the way down that far, so that was good. But it's outrageous. It's
Shauna,
outrageous. A nightmare.
I
A
could do
nightmare.
I'm sure we could do hundreds of
Oh, I could
episodes
just keep
on
going.
this topic alone
Yes.
because I have like this same story at another distressed property where it was
Mhm.
actually in the closets. It
Yeah.
was in the closets going
Yeah.
down the side of the building
Yeah.
where there was all kinds of leaking. The tenants were complaining about water coming into the unit. The closet smelled really
Oh
bad. There
no,
was a
no,
lot
no.
of odor.
Yes, but let's we have to tell the audience about our black mold that we had in Pontiac. That
Which
one.
building would you like to talk about? Which story would we like to start with?
Yeah, so
Because we've
that's
had a couple. Are you talking about the one that shall not be named?
yes.
The one that we stopped managing a
Yes.
long time ago?
Yes.
I I know exactly where we're
Yep,
going with this.
exactly. So that was a nightmare in itself.
Oh,
And I
that was
think we're
beautiful.
we'll talk
I
about
loved
that, but
that property.
it's definitely yeah, maintenance nightmares is something that we can talk about forever. So if that's
Yes.
something you guys want to hear,
Let us know
yeah, let us know. Tune
because we can
in
talk
and
about it.
yeah, absolutely. You want to know about black mold, you want to know about broken bellied
And
sewer
the difference
lines.
between what is black mold and what is not black
What is
mold,
mold
please let
versus
us
what is
know.
mildew? What is
What is water
they
mold?
they don't
Like,
call it mold. They call it microbial.
yes,
Yes, they call it microbials. Yeah, that's not
it's those spores.
the
It's
spores. Yep.
not always black mold. Just because the
It's
color is
black.
black does
Doesn't
not
mean
mean
it's
it's
black
black
mold.
mold.
Yes.
I just want to let you all know that out there because I have heard it
Yes.
many, 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 many
I have black
times.
mold in my shower. No,
Yes,
you
I
don't.
understand the color is black,
You have mold that is black. And
but
it's
you
mildew.
just have
You're
mold.
fine. Yeah. So,
And in some cases, it just means clean your bathroom.
yeah. But if you guys want to hear more about a absolute nightmare, we could probably make 17 episodes on absolute nightmares.
Probably more than that, but we'll
Um
stop at
so we're
17.
stop. And okay, well, what is going to be our next topic, Jay?
Oh, what do we want to be on our next topic? Let's do. Oh my God, I don't even know.
Okay, I guess we'll come up with it later.
Oh, we out of time?
We are out of time.
Oh, I
Okay,
didn't
we're
know.
good.
You're supposed to tell
Well,
me.
usually you have the 5 finger countdown. So
Well,
yeah, we only got 30
I can't see
seconds
the
left.
monitor.
We only got 30 seconds left. So tune in next time. I'm sure we're gonna figure something out. Um, and again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank
We'd
you.
love to hear you guys' comments. Let us know.
Absolutely. Okay. Bye bye.